Let's talk about the Wuthering Waves Gacha rate. So I wasn't going to do too much on this since we didn't get into the CBT, but I thought the rates here was be a nice little topic for us to talk about. And somebody was nice enough on Reddit to kind of piece these all together for a lot of the community. So let's go ahead and talk about this. This is going to be GN on the CBT2 banner rate up here. So we'll get a good idea what rate up banners look like. So it looks like this is a pretty standard 10 pulls here that you're going to get a 4-star or higher rarity item. So it doesn't look like you're going to be guaranteed a character. I'm guessing they're gonna have some sort of pity there, but it looks like weapons are going to be in the actual banners. You're guaranteed to obtain at least one 5-star resonator for every 80. So it looks like 80 pulls gives you a character. You know, real quick, let's admire the fact that they got the redhead banner going on here with my boy GN. So that's pretty cool. But let's talk about these rates. Let's see. So this is kind of the first time I really looked at this. I seen a little bit in CBT1 and thought they were pretty aggressive, but they apparently changed it quite a bit. So let's see. So it's going to be a 0.8%. I don't know how comparable that is to Genshin. Is Genshin a 0.6, I believe? So I think it's a little bit higher of a chance, obviously. And then 1.8 with the guarantee, obviously. You are guaranteed to obtain at least one 5-star resonator for every 80. So 80 is 10 less than Genshin because Genshin's at 90. But I do believe Genshin, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments again, Genshin has a soft pity at 75, but it wasn't mentioned in the actual, like, you know, little rules, basically. I don't know what you want to call these, the details, basically. I think a lot of people just kind of seen that there was a secret soft pity. So this might actually be not very aggressive, or like not as like aggressively against Genshin anyway. In the comparison, like it's not going to be like an undermining of Genshin if they have a soft pity at 75 and we have like a hard pity, like a hard stuck pity at 80, and we have no soft pity. That could kind of make them pretty like probable at the same rate, I feel like, is what I'm trying to say. So this might actually seem like it's really on par with Genshin stuff, even though it's 10 less, even if we don't have kind of like that soft pity. So if there is some sort of like secret soft pity, we could obviously see a little bit of back and forth, but we'd have to play and kind of calculate that and see what that does. Now let's go ahead and just kind of skip real quick. I'll come back up to the 4-star stuff, but I want to see if this is a 50-50. So every time a 5-star resonator is obtained, there's a 50% chance it'll be GN, so he's a 5-star limited. And if it's not him the first time, the next time it will be. So 160 for a total to get one character, or at least the rate up character if you miss that 50-50. Like I said, if this is a soft pity, maybe it's a little bit more aggressive. Also, it kind of depends, obviously, what the daily, weekly grind is going to be. How much currency are we getting? How much stuff can we get? Can we get a monthly pass that gives us like 10, 20 pulls? How aggressive is it going to be for the currency? Because ultimately, you can have like a really stacked, like, wow, this looks like shit when it comes to the gacha rates. But if you have a really good flow of income, it kind of alleviates that a little bit. Now, of course, this still is considered aggressive, I would say, especially if you're coming from PGR, but we all knew it wasn't going to be PGR, right? So that's kind of the tell of a take. It's kind of hard to say whether it's going to be super aggressive or not based on that. But if there's a soft pity, I think it'll be a little bit better. If it's not a soft pity, I do think that the rates are probably going to be pretty in line with the probability of Genshin, because they do have that secret soft pity anyway. So here's the 4-star though. So it's a 6%, 10 convenes, which is the 10 pull. We knew about that. Is there a 50-50 on that? It does appear to be. So every time a 4-star item is obtained, there's a 50% chance it'll be one of the following 4-star resonators. So we got 3 on this banner. If the 4-star item is obtained is not the resonator, the next one will be guaranteed. So if you get like a 4-star weapon, the next one will be one of these characters. Looks like it'll be split among the 4-star resonators. Here we got 3. So there's I don't know how to calculate that. I don't know how to calculate that, but there's a certain percentage of chance between each one of these. So I guess not super bad because it's only a 10 pull. So obviously you're going to be doing a lot more 10 pulls, especially if you're going for the 5-star characters. So you're probably going to be getting a lot of these guys anyway. But let's see how they kind of work with dupes, because that's one thing that may be a saving grace, is if they have some sort of dupe system or shard system like PGR does. They don't typically do it with like their dupes and stuff. You have different ways to grind it, but they do have like a shard system that kind of makes it a little bit more, you know, free to play friendly than it already is. Extras. Okay, so this is probably where we're going to talk about that. Obtain a 5-star you already have for the 2nd to 7th time. You will get 1 wave band, which is going to be your dupe, the resonator, and 15 afterglow corals. So maybe this is the currency that you do in a shop or something like that. From the 8th duplicate onward, you will get 40. Okay, so 40 after 8. But I mean, bro, if you're getting to your 8th, because you would have to obtain a 5-star resonator you already have. So you'd have to win the 50-50 quite a lot if you're going for GN for this example, or get lucky enough to get the same 5-star off banner 8 times to get the 40 afterglow corals. So that's kind of rough, bro. And if you're going that far, you're probably not going to go much further. Honestly, if you're getting to your 8th one, I don't know what you're doing keeping going forward, but I guess it could matter if you do it like over time. Like, you know, some maybe like GM becomes an off rate for, you know, a different rate up banner and stuff like that, and you end up grabbing him. Obviously they can kind of stack up over like a course of time, especially if these afterglow corals kind of go with your account and they don't like reset, which I don't imagine they would. It wouldn't make much sense. So let's talk about the 4-star though. You already have, okay, so 2nd to 7th time, you get 1 wave band, you get 3. Okay, that kind of makes a little bit of a steeper thing because you're going to get a lot more of them obviously, but 3 isn't too much. But the 8th here does make a little bit more sense. So you get 8 afterglows for the resonators. So like obviously you're probably going to get 8 rather sooner than later, especially if you're going to 8 for your GN or your 5-star there. You're probably going to be maxing out a lot of those 4-stars. So but 8 isn't really that great of a currency either, depending on what you can convert it to, because I haven't looked at the shop yet. So whenever you obtain a 4-star weapon, you'll get 3. If you get a 3-star weapon, you get 15 oscillated, I don't know how to say that, corals. That looks like a different currency, probably a lesser currency than the afterglow if I had to guess. If the 5-star resonator obtained is not GN, you'll get an extra 30 afterglow corals. Oh, okay. So if you get an off banner, it looks like, so is that every time you don't get the GN in this case, you'll get 30? Because that's pretty decent depending on what it converts to. The wave band for the 5-star is limited to 2 purchases. Okay, so there is a shop and you can do 2 purchases. So this looks like some sort of shard system. I wonder if you can buy the actual character if you don't have them. Kind of like you can do in Arknights. Arknights is quite steep because obviously it's like a 300 pity. Then you can go into a shop and then you spend that currency that you got for the actual character in the shop. So that's kind of a way to get them if you get really stuck. But we'll kind of have to see. So this one is going to be the rate up on the weapon. It looks like it has a very similar. So it says guaranteed to obtain at least 1 5-star weapon for every. Oh, I hope this isn't 50-50. So it's 8% again. We'll kind of jump down. 80 is obtained. It's guaranteed to be Verdant Summit. Is that the one on here? Verdant Summit looks like it's the limited 5-star weapon of this event. So it's 100% guarantee on a weapon. Still 80 though. What I would like to see here, and I don't know if you guys would kind of agree here, is in PGR, they have a 60 pity for the character and a 30 pity for the weapon. Now, I know that this is trying to be a little bit more aggressive, but I would like to see it a little bit less. Maybe like a 70 or even like a 65 or something like that. Just like a little bit of a, I don't know. I think it's nice that it's 100% guaranteed because it does make these weapon banners a little bit more bearable. Because in Genshin, it's a 50-50, right? So it's a 50-50 for your weapon. It's a 50-50 for the character. If you get totally shafted, it's like a way too much currency. So at least they give you a little leniency on the weapon. But I would like this to be a little bit lower, because if most people are probably going to go for the weapon and the character, I don't know how this game is going to treat that stuff in PGR. There are a lot of characters who do rely on their signature weapon, or at least are able to do a lot more things with their signature weapon. But you don't always have to do them. Some of the, S characters and stuff like that don't necessarily have to have them perform really well, and they can get by on like a 5-star, 4-star weapon if that's all you got. So hopefully this game is kind of going in that tune where it's like, yes, you could get the signature weapon, but it's not like a make or break. Like you're totally screwed if you don't get it. Hopefully it kind of, takes from that, at least in PGR, if it is going to stay with the pity. And just the fact that it's 100% guarantee is really nice as well. So it looks like the 4-star is not, though. I was kind of reading this as I was talking. 4-star item is a 50% chance to be one of the following 4-star weapons of the event. Of course, this is only 10 pulls, so it's not like a super hectic thing, but it looks like a 50% chance between 3 of these, at least on this banner anyway. I don't know if they'll add, more rate ups, or 3 is kind of the limit that they have, because they had 3 for the character banner as well for the 4-stars. It's not the aforementioned weapon. The next 4-star is guaranteed to be one of them. So, okay. The probability is evenly split between the weapons here. So, okay. So it looks like you have a 50% chance on the 4-star stuff. So if you're going for a particular 4-star, you may get very unlucky, at least for a little bit, but at least those are only 10 pulls. So you can kind of justify keep going if you're going for a certain 4-star. So it looks like if you have the 2nd and 7th time for a 4-star resonator, you'll get 1 wave band of that resonator, 3 afterglow corals, 8th on, it's going to be 8. You obtain a 5-star weapon and get 15 whenever you obtain a 5-star weapon. So this isn't a 2nd to 7th time. I don't know if you can stack weapons into dupes and stuff like that. Based on what this is kind of reading, it looks like it's not. Looks like you get a 5-star weapon, you'll get the afterglow corals. So 15, 3. This one looks like it's a lesser currency, so I'm not even going to talk about the 3 stars. But if you are going kind of hard in the weapon banner here, I mean, 15's not the best, honestly, in comparison to like the 40 that you get, or 30 that you get for the off band. But yeah, at least you get a little bit of afterglow. It kind of matters what the conversion there is for the rates. Limited 2 purchases in the Coral store. So hopefully this next one's the Coral store. This is the permanent convene. So it looks like this is the permanent banner. 3 characters here. Okay, so they split up between these characters. you're guaranteed to obtain. So I'm guessing this kind of goes into like what they're doing with the 4 stars on the rate up banner, where you probably have a 50-50, and if it's not one of the characters or whatever that you got guaranteed here, or a rate up anyway, that they'll probably have a certain percentage between each one of these characters is what I imagine, because I don't know if they have. Oh, they don't. I was hoping for the rates, but I'm imagining it's split up between these guys at the next 50. So basically you do 80. If you don't get one of these guys, the next 80 would be a percentage, you know, based on these guys. So that's kind of steep. I mean, nobody's really ever doing the permanents most of the time anyway. This looks like it's a permanent for the weapon banner. It actually looks here, I've seen that symbol before. In PGR, you could actually make a lot of your own banners, which is kind of a cool thing about PGR. I wonder if they'll ever add that, is you kind of make your own rate up banners, especially when you're like in the middle of stuff. Like currently right now, before Alpha Crimson Weave comes out, we're actually making a banner basically like in the interim. Nobody really ever bulls on them because obviously they're waiting for the next character, but you know, it's kind of nice in case you missed a character or something like that. So you're guaranteed to have at least 5-star weapon for every 80 convenes here. So this looks like it's going to be very comparable. However, it kind of looks like this would be just the one character or one weapon and done, obviously. So it's the only one on the banner. Looks like you get to choose. That's exactly what you get to do. You get to choose which the guarantee is going to be. So you probably go for your 80. If it's not guaranteed, then you get the one that you selected. Okay. We'll have to kind of compare though, because these aren't signature. At least they don't look like they're signature. So these are kind of like off 5 stars that may work with your character, which would be kind of interesting to see how that kind of plays out. So here's the actual shop itself. So let's kind of like absorb some of this stuff. We got a couple of different currencies. I think this is the main gacha currency. This must be the lesser coral currency, and this must be like the oh, it actually says right here, afterglow coral, oscillated coral, and then title exchange. I don't have any more pages, so I don't think I'm going to be able to see the last 2 here, but this is the kind of the one that I wanted to see the most. So these kind of like you little afterglow corals, looks like they're going to be okay. So you can get your character, your weapon, and this looks like it's the permanent standard banner. And I think these use the currencies on the character and the weapon is the same currency, so that's kind of nice. So it looks like you can actually go for more pulls if you want, and it doesn't look like these are limited. It doesn't say any limited, so you can kind of just go as much as you want or as much as you have. And then it looks like he's timed on GN. It did say that, I believe, on the little thing. And then he's limited to 2. All these other 5 stars are limited to 2. This 4 stars limited to 1. 55, not bad, but you're I mean, you're probably going to get her quite a bit, or most of your 4 stars, or yeah, 4 stars. You're probably going to max them out. So I probably wouldn't even use this on a 4-star, but a 5-star character, especially if you're looking for a certain one, 270 is not bad for an off banner, but 360 seems kind of rough. I feel like that's pretty high. I wonder though, I don't know if it confirmed anywhere if you're able to use this on a character that you don't have. Like this could be your backup pity basically for, you know, if you don't get GN. I mean, of course, at this point, if you had that many corals, you would probably get GN, but I'm thinking like in the future, I'm thinking like on banners that hadn't come out yet. And if this can kind of go between banners, you could at least kind of accumulate over time some of these corals. So like a character that you don't know about, right? But all of a sudden you see him and you're like, oh, you know, I may not have enough currency to go all the way through the pity, but like, oh, but I have enough corals. I wonder if I could buy that character and have that character. So it's kind of like a pitfall, you know, like if you're poor with your with your currency, then you can use your corals and kind of go from there. But it kind of seems like maybe honestly, it would probably be more worth going for polls if you're free to play. This kind of seems like it's well status, where it's just like they don't have to go as hard because they have these corals, that they can kind of get dupes and they don't have to go super hard on it. Or maybe like dolphin territory. So it doesn't really seem like it's free to play friendly, at least not like in the short term. Of course, like over time, I think it could be. But yeah, this is kind of a little bit more aggressive at 360, 270. Even if you do like 30, I mean, I'm trying to do the calculation in my head. That seems like a lot, especially because like most of the time, the real like umps that you're going to be getting is after the 8th, right? After the 8th character that you get, that's where you're starting to see quite a bit of that actual growth here. So like you get 40 after your 8th duplicate, but who's doing that for a 5-star? First off, you gotta get extremely lucky on a 50-50 to win it that many times, or get extremely unlucky but lucky to get the same 5-star. But yeah, I guess you do get 34 an off banner or whatever that is not GN, so you can kind of stack them really quickly if you're doing 30, and then you know can go, you know, to your 2nd to 7th time, or maybe even 8th time on the same 5-star. You can stack them up pretty quickly, but I mean, that would have to have like the worlds aligned for you to do that, because the 4 stars here, 3 afterglow and 8 after the 8th does not seem very competitive, bro. That is this seems pretty steep. I mean, the biggest thing here is probably even the weapons, like 15 would be not even that great either. So the currency here just seems kind of aggressive, especially if this is the only way to get it. If there's other ways to get it, maybe like in the overworld, like you're going through chests and stuff like that, maybe, or maybe quests and stuff, you know, or some of like the harder content in-game stuff, maybe you're able to get a couple of these, even if it's just like a little bit, bro, just something something to help you out. It does seem like free to play is probably going to go in the path of getting more summons, which I think this is kind of competitively great. 8 is pretty nice because like you pretty much get that from, you know, one of your characters or whatever. So if you do like your 4-star, every single 8th, you'll be able to get another pull basically. So if you keep getting the same 4-star, you can at least get another pull, which, you know, it kind of evens out a little bit, but not much. 10 for 1, I guess, basically at that point. But overall, this is obviously probably going to be pretty finalized from what I understand. And we're probably not going to see too much of a shift. The only thing I can really recommend here is the fact that we don't know at least I don't know the daily and weekly and what the end game is going to look like for the gacha currency. I don't know how much we're going to get every single patch, what that's going to look like, what all the beginner rewards, all that different stuff that plays into this. So obviously the rates could be super aggressive, but at the end of the day, if we have a lot of currency coming in, maybe it's not super aggressive. But I'd like to know if we have a soft pity, because I think this 80 seems great on paper, but if it doesn't have any sort of soft pity like Genshin's secret soft pity, this could be very comparable to the way that the probability is going to be. Even though Genshin has that like 90 hard stuck pity, they have that kind of soft pity to kind of lighten the load a little bit. Like, of course, going to 90 is really rough. 75 is still a little bit rough, but at least, you know, after the 75th that you have a little bit higher of a percent of a chance every single time until you get to 90. Here we don't really know what's going on. It just looks like 80, and that seems kind of rough McGruff. I'd like to see like maybe a 70 or something like that, or like if this is like the stuck in the way that is no soft pity given, I would like to see like a 70, I would say, because 60 is already PGR. So I would say like a 70, 75, or just something, just a little bump down, or maybe like a little bit of a higher rate, like a 1%. I don't really know, honestly. I think 50-50 sucks, and I think it's just kind of what we're going to have to do. I was kind of fearing the 50-50 here, but if there's different ways to do some different things. I do like that they added the shard system, but I think it's a little aggressive. This is kind of a nice little thing of like a back burner kind of pity for, you know, overall time, especially if you're using these for summons as a free to play. It could be kind of worth doing, especially if you get super screwed and keep losing your 50-50s over and over again. At least you'd have the corals to jump in to get some more pulls. But yeah, overall, we're going to have to kind of see what happens on release. But I do think this is pretty finalized. So we're going to have to probably gear up to see what this is going. Maybe some of these currencies change a little bit. Maybe this goes like to 300 or something. These go down to 210. I'm not 100% sure, but I doubt we're going to see like huge adjustments in anything. So we're probably just going to have to bite the bullet on some different things. I do like that the weapon here is actually guaranteed though. So it does make it a little bit more worth it, because a lot of people really complain about the Genshin stuff and the weapon being a 50-50 after just getting a character on 50-50. So if you luck out on the 50-50 on the character, you got to go turn around and luck out again on the weapon. So at least in this game, you wouldn't have to do that. So if you did get lucky at GN, you would be able to get his signature, assuming that you had 80 pulls, obviously. But it makes it worth it. It makes it kind of like, do I save for the next character? Because I don't want to go to 50-50 and lose that and then be out all those pulls. It does at least make it a little bit more viable if you do have that extra 80 because you got lucky on GN or something like that, that you're like, okay, I'm going to grab a signature weapon because I know it's guaranteed. So at least there's something there, a little gleaming light. We'll have to kind of see what it looks like. That's enough yapping for me, guys. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the game. I'm not going to read any spoilers. We're going to do everything we can do to just kind of wait and play it blindly at release. So hopefully you guys stick with me until then. I know a lot of you guys are excited. You're seeing all the different things.